Hi there, my name is David Morse. I'm the CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Arizona Realty in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm so thankful that you've stumbled upon our video. This series is for you, the realtor who may be going through the first downshifting market in your career, and certainly, even if you've gone through one before, there's never been quite one just like this. And so your real estate blueprint for the market of the moment explores 8 strategies with some of the top real estate professionals in the industry today on how you can not only survive right now, but thrive. How do you make sure that your business goes up and doesn't flatline or go down? Learn from these professionals. And if you're in the Scottsdale or Greater Phoenix Metro, please reach out, comment, shoot us an email, a phone call. I would love nothing more than to serve you and your business by helping you understand how you can hit and exceed your goals. Let's watch what these amazing professionals have and play all in.
We are at 9:30, guys. Thank you so much for being on this webinar this morning. We have Andrew Bloom here to teach this session, remargining our expenses, and I cannot think of a better person to have us. For those of you who don't know Andrew, which you should, here's a little bit about Andrew. Andrew got his start in low-income housing as an advocate over 30 years ago, made the jump into real estate 25 years ago, and spent 20 years with RE/MAX before moving his business, his massive business, over to Keller Williams and Keller Williams Arizona Realty. In 2019, he was the number 10 team in the entire world, $200 million in volume, 5.2 million in GCI, and I have seen firsthand how this man has put this strategy into action right away. And so I don't want to take any of your time. We want to learn from you, Andrew. So take it away and teach us how to remargin our expenses.
All right, David Morse, thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it. I'm walking around my backyard, just enjoying the sunshine and a beautiful day we have here in Arizona. Shift tactic 2. I think there should be a redo on the shift book for those of us that have been through the shift before, because we've already mastered shift tactic 1. See, when you're experienced and you've gone through adversity, your mindset and your focus is already there, right? As really professional real estate experts, we're already limber. And what happens is we're in a false sense of security when the market's good, thinking that everything's okay. But what happened with me when the market changed, as soon as I saw the world changing, the 1st of March, I immediately began to look at my expenses. And on Friday, March 13th, I sat down at my desk and I cut $47,000 a month out of my budget, off my overhead, 47 grand a month. And some of you might think, well, that's $47,000 a month. That's a heck of a lot of money. Well, I know my numbers. I know my P&L. I understand my profits. I understand where my money is going. And I was already very aware of the things that were necessary and unnecessary. So when you look at shift, page 29, the number one determinant of thriving is lead generation. Well, the goal when the shift happens is not to thrive. The goal when the shift happens is to survive. The number one determinant of surviving in a shifting market is expense management. So knowing that, that's the first thing that I did, was sat down with my P&L. I went through my budget and I cut expenses. When I looked at cutting expenses, I looked at who is the support system around me. The market center, my team, people. Cutting expenses and not cutting people was the first priority. It's the first thing that we needed to do. Page 29. It's in the shift book and it talks about it. The required speed in which to act in a shifting market is the speed of now. N-O-W, now. We have to respond now. It's the very first thing we have to do. One of the reasons I take issue with the 12 tactics is that most people spend too much time in tactic 1. We spend too much time getting our head straight and getting our mindset right instead of getting right into action into step 2. I started with step 2 because step 1, I already had the experience to know that I needed to jump into step 2 first. I needed to plant my feet firmly on the ground before I started thinking about what I was going to do next. If you spend too much time in tactic 1 and not enough time in tactic 2, you're going to wait too long. Get into action in tactic 2 now and start cutting your expenses. So that's really extremely important. Sam Walton in the Shift book says our money was made by controlling expenses. So you have to know exactly what your expenses are because that's where money is made. For newer agents or agents that don't have an exorbitant amount of expenses and overhead and staff and payroll and office space, if you're not a mega agent office or a mega agent, you're already in a situation where your labor is much more important than the capital infusion into your business. The healthy habits and behaviors that you have when you're a new agent, because you're not spending money, it's not capital driven. So that's why your mindset's so important as a newer agent, getting it straight and getting it right rather than shift tactic 2. It's the reason why the shift is written the way that it's written, is so that when you're operating your business from that's prospecting based and marketing enhanced, you can move much quicker and be more limber. When you're running your business marketing based and prospecting enhanced, let me say that again, marketing based and prospecting enhanced, you have to shift exactly what you're doing on a daily basis so that you can be a prospecting based business. Marketing is highly leveraged, and so it's very, very expensive. The opportunity for you to have a high level of income and ROI is in your labor and your daily activities and your behavior. You cut to save and you spend to build. You cut to save and you spend to build. Now is the time to cut all your expenses, personal and business. We're not going to be in this market temporarily. It may take us 10 years to get back to 2019, which was such a wonderful year for all of us, so profitable. But was it the market that was driving us and making us profitable, or was it our activities and our habits and our behaviors that was making us profitable? Probably the market, right? So going back to the basics and the fundamentals of our activities is extremely important. There is nothing sacred whatsoever when it comes to cutting expenses at all. In fact, the Shift book will tell you there is nothing, absolutely nothing sacred whatsoever. Page 31. In up markets, we tend to move fast and swell up. We're not as tough on our dollars or as tough on our results. I want to really talk about this a little bit. We're not as tough on our dollars or as tough on our results. You know, when the market's really good, we're not really paying attention to the metrics. We're not really looking at the daily numbers, the number of contacts, the number of calls, the number of dials, the number of follow-ups, right? We're bloated. We're bloated and we're consuming and we're spending money frivolously without even having any understanding of what kind of a return on that investment is. Page 32, there's never a good time to nod off and violate the fundamentals of finance. We have to get back to the basic understanding of what the MREA says in running an economic model. It's extremely important. All the tools for our success are found within 2 or 3 books of the KW library. Page 34, nothing should be untouchable, and all expenses should feel the heat of your scrutiny. All expenses should feel the heat of your scrutiny. You should be on the phone with everybody that you write a check to consistently. It's a car payment, it's a house payment, it's a student loan, whatever it might be. For those of you that have never gone through a shift, I will tell you that these are long cycles. I mean, we're talking about years and years and years and years before we get back to normalcy. But the market does not dictate your income. It doesn't dictate your results. It doesn't dictate your behavior and your habits and your activities. Those are all dictated by you. We just saw in the previous presentation some great graphs that show you the market The market's never dictated my business. It's never controlled my business. I've never had a bad month. I've never had a month in 25 years where I wasn't selling real estate. My activities, my behaviors have been the foundation and the core of my business since day one when I started in the industry. And I won't jump into that right now. Page 36, be a budget bully. Be a budget bully. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and make hard phone calls and make changes. I'll tell you, one of the things I am most excited about is that my team is moving into the market center. We've had a mega agent office for 3 years, $7,000 a month in expense between rent, utilities, and cleaning. I just cut that out, and now I'm in the market center where there's culture and there's people that eat and breathe and live KW. It's the best decision I could make for my team. I was on a month-to-month lease anyway, so it was easy for me to pivot. If I wasn't on a lease, I would have gotten out of it. There is nothing sacred. Be a budget bully. Page 36, lead with profit. Lead with profit. We've always been taught to lead with revenue. Lead with revenue. No, you hire people, human capital, with revenue. You invest in your business with profit. You hire people in your business with revenue, and you grow your business with profit. So that's really critically very, very important. How am I doing on time, David?
You have 10 minutes. You're doing
speaking
good.
fast, and I'm doing well. So we're still cranking through this. Okay.
Yes, you are, sir.
When you talk about nothing being sacred, we're talking about deferring whatever it is that you can. This is not to be in a panic mode. You don't come from desperation. You come from a place of clarity. You come from a place of understanding that you're going to get right with your budget. You're going to sit down with your family, your spouse, your children. You're going to look at this and say, look, 2019, 2018, really for the last couple of years, we were able to do whatever we wanted to do whenever we wanted to do it for the most part. That's really changed. This is really the time when we tighten up our belt. We sit down, we look at our expenses. We have systems and models. We have systems and models within Keller Williams to help us through this. One of the reasons why my business grew exponentially was because I was introduced to Keller Williams for the very first time a few years ago. And when I understood the systems and the models that are behind the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I was able to exponentially grow my business. And you can exponentially grow your business regardless of what the market's doing. And we just heard that in the previous segment. So right now you've got to, number one, take care of everything on your expense list. Look at the first quarter of 2020 and just start cutting and stop paying and make phone calls and get on the phone and defer payments. And people are going to think that's a little, there is no way, and it's written in Shift Tactic 2, there is no way for you to overcorrect. There is no way that you can cut anything out of your budget that's going to diminish your ability to grow in the future. Sam Walton talks about that. They talk about when profits are made by cutting expenses. You've got to look at that today. It's extremely important. Don't spend time on Shift Tactic 1 worrying about your mindset, get into action right now, and then go back into Shift Tactic 1, and then go back, and then we can jump around between Shift Tactic 1 and Shift Tactic 12, and they're not necessarily done in a sequential order. As much as we like to think they are, your own experiences are what's going to drive where you need to focus your energy and attention first. For me, it was in Shift Tactic 2, which is why we're talking about it. There is and was nothing sacred. You have to evaluate your credit position. I've worked really hard to maintain a very good credit score. As a result, I'm not going to do anything that's going to compromise my credit score. Now, in 2008, I didn't care what happened to my credit score, and I was going to do whatever it took, no matter how it was going to affect my credit. In this market, I'm not in the same situation that I was in. I don't have the same kind of debt that I had in 2008 going into that market where I owned a lot of real estate, dirt. I was invested heavy in dirt, and not in single family homes. Now I'm invested in single family homes. I can rent them. I don't need to sell them. In fact, I just pulled one of my flips off the market in Greyhawk and I leased it because I don't need to sell it. If you don't have to sell it, don't sell it. And so that's another part of this shift tactic, is looking at good debt versus bad debt and credit worthiness, which they don't really go into in shift tactic 2, but I think that's really important for you to know. You know, if don't wait too long. Just because you have checks in your checkbook doesn't mean you've got money that's going to stay in the account forever. So just because you have checks doesn't mean you can spend it. This is the best time to save money, tighten your belt, and then look at the horizon. Worst case scenario, your business never takes any kind of a hit whatsoever, and you've got more money in the bank than you know what to do with. Best case scenario, is things just continue to go well for you. So you've got to right now, you've got to take action as if the end of the world is here. You do. It's just the way that it is, because we don't know how long this economic disaster and health disaster is going to last. And we do know that we're going to get out of it, and we're going to get out of the health scare rather quickly. But the impact of the unemployment rate is a significant metrics that we need to track. We've seen unemployment rates go down for long periods of time in 2008. In fact, it was 3 or 4 years of low unemployment, where, right now the expectation is that we'll see 1 year of double-digit unemployment, and then by 2022 we'll start to see some single-digit numbers. It's all speculative. Don't speculate. Do what you have to do right now. That's clarity is power. It's the only thing that you know is what you know right now. And what you know right now is you need to cut expenses and you need to remargin. So you need to, if you've got to refinance property, if you've got to call your mortgage lender and ask them for a 60-day deferment, even if you've got the money. And I hear a lot of mixed messages about deferments. And if you've got the money, pay the money, save your money. Please listen to me and save your money. You don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen or how long it's going to happen. So it's like oxygen. I mean, you've got to preserve it. Asset preservation is key. These are the same conversations you should be having with small businesses, with your clients, with your children. It's extremely important. And that's why remargining your expenses in shift tactic 2 is so critical, because if you don't finish that chapter, and when I say finish that chapter, I mean if you don't take action and actually cut your expenses by at least 50%, which is what the book recommends, at least 50% of your overhead. How do you cut at least 50% of your overhead out? Minimum 50%. Use that number. Get below that number. Get below 50%. And you think you can't do it? You can. You can do it. And you've got to do it. And it's not about fear. It's about faith. It's about clarity. It's about surviving. We're never going to get to a point where we can thrive in this market if we first haven't put ourselves in a position to survive. You're not going to, if you're out of breath and you don't put the oxygen mask on, you're never going to complete the marathon. So you've got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then in turn, put the oxygen mask on those that are closest to you that you care about the most. It's the most important thing. Cut expenses. It's very important. Apply for the PPP. Apply for the unemployment if you're eligible. Apply for the grants if you're eligible. The government is here doing things to help stimulate and boost recovery faster. Utilize those resources if you can. There was a great webinar this morning at 6 a.m. Out of Keller Williams, Pennsylvania. Gorov's team, where they had 3 CPAs talking about, what you can and can't do and what you can expect. Do whatever it takes. In shift tactic 2 in the book, it says, do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. And do it with great pride and dignity. There's no shame in remargining your expenses. There's no shame in mitigating your overhead and your costs. This is a way that we survive and take care of our people. This is what we do. We were built for this. We were made for this. we're in an organization that has written historically about this. We're in great hands. We have great leadership. We have great leadership at every single level with Keller Williams. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. And so if there's anything I can do, if anybody has any questions or concerns or needs or doesn't know how to make a phone call or a script that you use when you're calling a vendor, when you're calling GMAC on your auto financing, or you're calling your mortgage company, feel free to reach out to me or anybody else within the network, because we've been here before. We've done this. We're alone, but we're together. So I'm probably pretty good on time here. David, how are we doing? Any questions?
Andrew, that was perfect. And I think exactly what you said to headline is what everyone needs to take away, no matter what level their business is right now, that there's nothing sacred right now. Every single expense, every single penny that goes out of someone's business should be examined, and people should be asking. These are the 3 questions that I give to people when they're doing financial triage. Is it giving me an ROI? If it is, move on to question number 2. Is it necessary legally or otherwise? Okay. If we get past that one, how do I get it to 0? What are the creative ways that I can drive that down? What are the other options available? Andrew, so good. Love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
You too, David. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for joining us for this portion of this training, your real estate blueprint for the market of the moment. No matter where you are in your business, I hope that you were able to take at least one piece of information that you are going to go and implement right now. Hey, if you find yourself in the greater Phoenix and Scottsdale metro and you need more specific information and business consultation, I'd love nothing more than to serve you by talking with you about your business. Hey, we are in this together because I know when we help one another, we all grow and we all get through this together. So, hey, if you gain value from this, I would love nothing more than for you to hit the subscribe button down there, turn on notifications, hit that little bell, and stay with us as we continue to share valuable insights about thriving in the market of the moment.